Hey everybody, welcome back to another Judgment commentary of the Rising of the Shield Hero, but today I'm going to be checking out episode 25, The Rising of the Shield Hero. Yep. But last time on episode 24, the next wave approached very rapidly, and everyone was all prepared for it. Now Fumi enlisted the help of the Queen, and she brought in a whole army to help them fight off this wave before it could cause too much damage. And as it turns out, the wave took place on the sea, which was a bit of new scenery, even though it, just like the last wave, it did involve a boat, but that was a ghost ship, so it's a little different, I suppose. In any case, with the help of those two new mysterious adventurers that Naofumi had met before, they fought off all of the aquatic-based monsters, including this giant Leviathan narwhal thing, and as one would expect, all of the heroes except Naofumi were useless. They didn't do anything the whole time, and then still had the gall to try to claim some of the loot from the Leviathan narwhal. Pretty lame of them, when really the one who did a lot of the work was actually that red-haired adventurer who we know, L'Arc or whatever how they say his name. He took that thing down pretty easily, while the other heroes couldn't even put a scratch in it with their strongest moves. Really putting them to shame. But then came the big, terrible twist. Upon realizing once and for all that Naofumi was in fact the shield hero, the adventurers turned on him. Therese and L'Arc, they revealed their true colors, that they are in fact heroes themselves, but from another world, who have journeyed here to try to save their own. How? I don't know. They didn't specify, but it apparently seems to involve going after the other heroes. But seriously though, it's sad. Naofumi trusted these guys. He finally opened up and trusted them, and then they immediately stab him in the back and try to murder him in cold blood. Not at all cool of them to do that, especially after everything he did for them. He made that girl a friggin' bracelet, and she turns around and tries to use it to murder him. This better be just to save their world and not because they think he's evil, because that is cold. But enough chit chat, let us begin the final episode of season 1. Gotta say, good season 1 ending. There still remains a few questions about the nature of the other heroes, the other worlds, because apparently there's other worlds with people who presumably were isekai'd and made heroes, or maybe that's just this world's thing, and maybe they pick the heroes in different ways in the other worlds. We don't know, I'm just assuming, but they're all having the waves, and in order to resolve the waves, apparently they have to travel to the other worlds and take out their heroes. At what point do they have to start doing that? Because at this point where they're at right now, I mean, now Fumi's a higher level than even they were. Presumably, maybe not as high as Glass, perhaps, or maybe he was probably at least on par with her. At what point will the waves start pulling them into other worlds and forcing them to fight other heroes? Because that would change a lot of the tone and the circumstances of this. It would add more conflict because the previous conflicts have been resolved. Now Fumi's cleared his name. Everyone likes him again. The only people who don't like him now are, the ones who weren't really going to change. Except the spear hero. He seems to have come around a lot in the last 5 minutes. All of a sudden he's like, calm down. And now Fumi's fine. Let's go pay him a visit sometimes. It would behoove you to be more open-minded about this. It would behoove her to be more open-minded about anything because she's just so laser-focused on constantly lying all the time. But that was a happy ending. Naofumi's setting up shop at the ruins of Raftalia's old village, building it back up. He's gonna build an army so that they can better take on the waves. He's gonna train people, build up an actual full-on party that he can use to fight the waves with, and yeah, they're gonna need it at this point because the other heroes can't really be trusted at this point. Sure, the sword hero, we saw that he's trying to, better himself. I want to get stronger, but the dude was running around popping balloons, the beginning base level enemy that Naofumi in the beginning could take out with his fists, so He should really be stepping up his friggin' game at this point. If you can be like, I'm gonna get stronger. I'm sitting here taking out base level enemies. And them casting out their party member, you know, what's her name? I'm sorry, I didn't say it enough times. That was a horrible, horrible thing to do. Like, oh, you broke my thing. Get lost. Are they really that vain? She had been in their party since like the beginning, hasn't she? And she breaks a thing and you give her the boot? They hadn't done anything that horrible in a while. Why did they do that? It's horrible. Just terrible indeed. And she tried to kill herself afterward. I mean, if they told them that, maybe they would change their tune, but not much seems to change their tune. Why did the GIF stop playing? Why do you gotta do this to me, GIF? Whatever. But, yeah. When it comes to Rising of the Shield Hero itself, what do I think overall? Just my basic ideas of it right now. These aren't very collected, but honestly, it has its merits. It definitely has really good moments. This last episode had great animation and choreography, and the concept of these other worlds having to fight the waves and go after them was a cool thing to introduce at the end. It does shake things up a lot because otherwise the previous conflicts were gone, and it was an interesting story to see. A fairly unique circumstance as far as isekais go for poor Naofumi being thrown into this horrible circumstance and having to work his way up the way he did, and having these other heroes who apparently started off much better dragging behind because they're just totally incompetent in all of this is unique, to say the least. I'm not going to say it's perfect. There are some parts that may have dragged a bit, some things in there conceptually that are a little awkward and maybe don't work super well. It is a fact of the matter that Naofumi's team, was primarily made up of little girls. I mean, 2 of 3 at minimum, and Raftalia was a loophole because they aged her up with game mechanics, and then only now he's just brought in this other one who's not young at least, but that's a thing. It's a choice, all right. How would I rate Shield Hero? I've seen better, but I've seen much worse. So I'd say it probably would sit around a solid 7 territory for the most part. It's good. It's got a lot of good stuff going for it. Some less stellar stuff, of course. And then I'm not gonna go too in depth about any controversies that the series faced, because it did face some when it came out in 2019. 2019 was a bad year to adapt this when it came to the West, because it ended up being compared to a lot of ideals that were spreading around at that point in time. Without going too specific about it, there was a specific ideology, so to speak, in 2019 that people were very wary of. They were fearful almost of it specifically, and many of those ideals you can draw a parallel to Shield Hero. And many people were adamant in saying that it was directly, supposed to be that way, but the people who were accusing it of that, this came out in frickin' Japan years ago, before that ideology was really taking shape. It had nothing to do with that, but it was just really bad timing, because 2019, it was at the forefront of everyone's minds, in the news circulation. So of course they were going to draw the comparisons to not only that, but other such movements that were going on at the same time, and it hindered its potential success in the West. But I'm not super well versed in all of the stuff I've seen. I've just read a few comments on my anime list from people who reviewed it very low, and that was their sole reason that they rated it so low, because of the parallels that they could draw to the other stuff. But I'm not well versed in it, so I just thought I'd just address the elephant in the room here, because some people brought it up early on that there were controversies in the West, and I looked into it a slight amount, and yeah, there really were. But at the end of the day, I'd still say it's a decent enough series. If you like it a lot, I can see why you do. If you didn't like it as much, I get that as well. It's sort of middle of the road for me. You know, it didn't blow me away or anything. It was just kind of where you can just sit back and watch it for what it is, sort of thing. It's not really gonna be shaking up the world of isekais in too major of a way, but it still had its moments. It had some pretty great antagonists who you just loved to hate, you know, anytime they were on screen. When it came to Mine or the Spear Hero, anytime they would do anything just overtly dumb, it was kind of fun to just get mad at them and be like, why are you guys the way you are? And it is kind of a shame that we don't really get into a whole lot of why Mine/Malty really did do all that stuff, or why she's so horrible. She just went after Naofumi to go after Naofumi because he's the shield hero, I guess. And of course there's the fact that apparently there were a lot of butchered elements from the source material where they toned down a lot of things, tried to harp a little bit more on a positive spin, because the original story was apparently much darker. Naofumi was a lot more hateful and brooding than even in the anime, and maybe some of those elements would have worked better than what we got if they had implemented them. And some of it I think is a bummer that they didn't work it out the way they did, but for what it is, it still works fine. If you didn't know otherwise, you wouldn't even suspect that they had altered it as much as they did. In some ways, Naofumi does seem to kind of shift from his character preemptively in certain spots where it doesn't necessarily feel right, but for the most part, I think it handles itself well. But that is it for now, guys, so thank you for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed the Rising of the Shield Hero series. I had fun making it, hope you had fun watching it. Make sure to leave a like and a comment, let me know what you thought of Rising of the Shield Hero as well, and subscribe to stay updated on what else we get done around here. So let's just quickly go over the process in which we decide that. Linked in the description is an invite to my Discord server, the Discord voting server, where we decide what ends up on the polls for the next series. It's simple, you just go in, sign into your Discord, there'll be a message from our verification bot, you just follow through with the verification process, go over to the voting tab, and type out whatever anime you want to see me react to next, and then the ones that get voted on the most in the Discord server will make their way to a poll on Patreon to determine the final winner. Got any further questions? Just make sure to leave them down below, and I'll be happy to address them. Such as if you're not comfortable using the verification system, or you can't get through it, like you don't have any of the methods available to you, then just message me or a moderator, and we can just let you through, because it's just to make sure the server doesn't get overrun by fake accounts and things like that who could try to rig the game in their favor. So yeah, that's all she wrote. I do look forward to Season 2 to see where this is going. I think it did get especially interesting at the end. I was worried about where the series was going to be going after this, because they wrapped up everything they set up already in the beginning of the series, but now they've got this new thing set up with the other worlds and their heroes. Are there even more out there besides just this one with these three? And was there a fourth hero there that we haven't seen? Or maybe they're dead, or who knows, maybe there's other worlds with waves who they're gonna have to worry about, and they're gonna have to decide, do we fight and kill those heroes and doom their worlds to save our own? Or do we perhaps submit, or maybe find an alternate plan to save everybody? That's interesting enough of a concept to make me curious to see what Season 2 will provide. And I hope to catch you guys there when I inevitably get to that. So for now, that's it. I hope to catch you guys next time, in another time, in another space. But until then, I will see you guys all later!